Welcome to another exciting episode of Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. Like we would likely say, it's the first full HD TV station in Nigeria. Your first full HD TV station in Nigeria. We educate, we inform, and not to forget, we also secure the future. My name is Wuraola Popola, and with me in the studio I have...
My name is Modupe Jacobs, and you almost, made the same mistake.
I know, right? Good morning.
Good morning, darling.
Yes. First, I will, let's start with asking, how well do you read?
How well do I read? I read a lot. I'm more like a bookworm.
Okay.
I love reading storybooks from a very young age, and but then there's something with growing up. You just tend to lose that reading vibe.
I know, right?
So, in as much as I had to go back to school to read, after that's the BSc, then MSc, I had a little bit of, okay, I have to start reading again, But then I had to. Sometimes when you have to, you just find yourself doing it.
Yes.
But at times when, it is not necessary, you just feel, okay, so relaxed and you don't get to read. But to hit the nail on the head, because I know I read, I actually do read.
Okay, that's for you. For me, I love reading, yes, but I would say whatever book I'm going to read must be able to illustrate. And when I mean illustrate, like tell stories. Because if you give me a book that has so many grammar, because like one day, my dad gave me Shakespeare book and he was like, okay, go and read. And then I kept seeing D, thou. I'm like, okay, Dad, how am I supposed to understand all of this? Do you get? But then give me a book whereby, you're probably talking about things that I can relate with or things happening around me. Obviously, I would be interested in reading such book. But then, I'm sure you know that a lot of things go into books aside reading and writing.
Exactly.
Yeah? Most people just feel, okay, the writer sits down, writes.
Thinks of
the book
something
is
and
ready,
then just puts it down.
You print, the book is ready, and then they sell. But there's a lot more to it. How about the editing?
True.
How about the manuscript? How about the publisher?
True.
How about even distributors?
And even making sure
the
the quality of the book, is top-notch.
It's top-notch. And you find some writers even having someone to reference the book. So a lot of things goes... Like when I pick books at times, just the front, the cover. There must be something interesting about it.
But they say do not judge a book by its cover.
I know, do not judge a book. But imagine, okay, there was a book I saw one day, was very brown, like deep brown. I'm like, okay, this book looks boring.
Okay, so colors do it for you also.
Yeah, colors, something attractive. But then I actually read like first to 2 pages of the book.
Okay.
And guess what? It was quite interesting and something I could learn from. But then if I had just decided to go with how boring the cover was, I probably won't read the book that day. But when I see a book that has orange, pink, blue, something quite flashy, I would want to know what the book is about. Do you understand? And in this century, this period that we are in, I'm sure a lot of people do not do hard copies again.
I am telling you, there was a celebrity that really released the book. I think that was Toke Makinwa. And then,
yes.
I was amazed at the amount of people that got that book. Means that, well, I don't want to put it as maybe because she is a celebrity. That's the reason why people were interested in the all amebo and gossip on, what her life entails.
It had to do with something, her personal lifestyle.
Exactly.
And most people actually want to know a lot about celebrities. What goes on in their life day to day. Even Laura Ikeje also had a book.
Yes.
And if we're going to look at this whole book thing, Chinua Achebe, people from way back, we have Chimamanda also representing in the literature aspect, do you understand? And I feel in the next century, I don't know, but for me, like next 2 years, I do not think people would actually have to produce hard copies again.
Well, I feel now we are getting more, interested in actually reading because as I was saying, I was really amazed at the amount of people that were interested in buying Toke's books. And, aside that, the trend has been on. Like you see someone, release a book or publish a book, and then everyone is interested. They want to buy.
They want to read.
Yeah, so I think we are going back to that culture, that reading culture. And these days, it necessarily doesn't have to be hard copy or a hardcover book. We have e-libraries, we have e-books. Yes, so I think the reading culture is gradually coming back into play. Yes, and I think it's a very good thing, because reading it goes a long way. It helps you in your speech. It helps you in. You get to know a lot of things by reading. So, reading helps our day-to-day life also.
Definitely. And I think reading also is an aspect of research. Because when you try to research, you must read up things for you to understand or get the research or get the data of something or fact about something. And that leads us to the topic.
Yes, because I know everyone is wondering, why are they talking about books and reading? Yes, that's because today we'll be talking about the publishing business. The publishing business, because we know a lot of hard work goes into publishing a book. So we want to know, how has the publishing business been? How lucrative is it? And then we'll be having a guest on the show who will be talking to us about it. Business. Not to forget that we'll also be having another guest on the show that will be talking about investing in
mobility service providers.
Yes, sorry, mobility service providers, and that also has to do with, being mobile, transportation, and because now that has become quite a business that everyone wants to tap into.
Definitely, and I think transportation is another beautiful thing we need to talk about. Especially most people that have to rely on cabs. Imagine if your car or something fails, the only thing you could fall back to at that point in time is probably order a cab.
Exactly.
Yes, and we need to talk about it.
Yes, so those are the topics we have for today. So you need to stay glued to learn about the publishing business and also investing in mobility service providers. Please do stay glued, because this is still Tea or Coffee on High Impact TV. We'll be right back.
Experience the excitement at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Our state-of-art facility offers amazing outdoor rides, playhouses, indoor games, and dining facilities. Thrill your student with a lifetime memorable excursion trip. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Discover the magic. Thrill. Every sight is so close you can feel it. The excitement, the fear. Experience our cinemas at High Impact Planet, the place where fun just got real.
Welcome back. This is still Tea or Coffee on High Impact TV. Just before that break, we were talking about the publishing business.
Yes.
And you were, telling me about you not liking to read books that some type of
it has illustration.
Exactly. Now let me tell you mine. When I was growing up, from primary school, I actually, loved reading books that had stories in it also. Storytelling, like you said. But growing up, entering university, I prefer you read the book.
Explain. I know.
Then you explain what it is, and I'm like,
it sticks better.
It's interesting. Let me read. You understand? Well, picking up the book, and sometimes there's a particular book that I've been trying to read for like the past months, maybe even going to a year, trust me. And I keep reading and I'll drop it. So I think sometimes...
I can relate. There was a particular book.
When there is distraction, it actually affects, your attention span when you're focusing on the book. So it's better to just go and lock yourself in a particular
somewhere. No, don't worry. I
and then
can
exhaust
actually
it.
relate. I can relate because while I was preparing for WAEC exams, and
Okay.
then, you know, for literature, they would line up novels that
Mm-hmm.
you should read. So, and you know, literature questions, theoretical questions, not just the objective questions,
Mm-hmm.
theoretical questions. You also have to like read and understand what the story is about.
Exactly.
So.
They may even tell you to narrate.
And because I think my mom understands the kind of person I am.
Okay.
So for 3 months, she said, okay, today you read one chapter, tomorrow you read another chapter.
Aww.
Trust me, I read one chapter for like a week. I'm telling you, I was supposed to read one chapter for a day. But then, I mean, I wouldn't just have a day reading all through. I must do other things. And then, you know, if we are going to, you know, put experience that you've had into books, I'm sure a lot of people would have something to talk about or something to publish. And, okay, fair enough, when I was going through checking out topic for today and everything,
Okay.
so I stumbled on something very funny.
All right.
You know, the New York Times, there was something, they conducted a survey.
Okay.
And the survey says that 81% of Americans actually feel like they have books in them. But then most of them haven't written it yet. Why? Because in my own point of view, I probably think that the cost of publishing, you have to get someone to edit. Because you can't know it all. You can't just...
You may even make some mistakes that you
Definitely
won't see.
that you won't see because you're writing and there's this passion that comes with you writing. You just keep writing and writing and writing. You do not look back to check out for mistakes or errors. So now you have to give someone who can proofread, edit, copyright, publishing, and looking at the whole a lot of people, not like they cannot own books or own publications, but when you look at the
Everything that has to
cost
go into
and everything,
publishing
the
it.
process of publishing it, they just
You
give
know,
up
but
like
we
that.
really have to give thumbs up to our publishers out there because, you know, looking at all that you said, that's the copyrights, the editing and everything, let's talk about the thought process. You know, I was talking about attention span. It's like when you're writing something, you're thinking of something, you're putting it down, you know, in pen and paper, and someone comes to distract you.
Wow, you're right.
Sometimes it just goes and sometimes it may never come back. And then you lose that strain of thoughts and there is a problem. You probably have to start reconstructing what you've already started writing.
I can relate. Do you know why? Because there was one day you were writing something and I needed you to actually answer or respond to what I was saying. And then you just kept me like, Wura, hold on. I'm coming, just hold on. And at that point in time, I knew that, okay, she needs to finish up what she has programmed in her head. So I had to come back.
I'm telling you. And you know, the fact that some books are really amazingly interesting, that you start from the beginning, it captivates you. So there is a lot, aside from the fact that they have to edit, they have to check errors, proofread, and all that. You know, you talked about colors, looking out for the cover, how attractive it's going to be to the reader and all. You know, the first chapter has to be captivating enough to keep the attention of the reader. And then, you know, when you're writing it, especially for me, you know, when you're talking about this survey that they took and everything, I feel that way too. I feel I have lots of books inside of me that I haven't released yet. And sometimes when I'm somewhere or sitting down and something just comes, you know, into my head and I pick up my phone and then I start writing. I start writing.
You know,
and it just comes like that.
It keeps coming.
And I'm like, you see. And it's not like I can take all I've written and just put it in a book and say, okay, I've published a book.
And then print it.
Exactly. I still have to read it, make sure that the first, you know, chapter, like I said, is captivating enough. You understand? So all these things, you know, you have to put it, you know, into play and all. But, you know, publishing is really, really, really amazing.
Trust me, it's something that, because a lot of people just feel that the book is all about the writer. And it is not, trust me, because you have a lot of things to look out for. You need to look out for creativity in the book. Like you likely said, the first chapter of the book must be captivating. You must get the attention of your audience. And not just get the attention, but keep the attention of your audience. And this is not done by the writer alone. Because
I'm telling you.
yes, it is not done by them. And I think there's a cost for you to publish. And now another thing is that people have this mentality or idea that it is just hard copies you can publish. But no, it's not like that actually. Even online, you have to publish. You understand? You have to, and not just books. We've not even talked about other publications like magazines
True.
that have to be published. And how can we do this without the publishers? I know most of them even go for training to understand what publishing is all about,
yes.
and how it can be applied to books, novels, literatures, and all sorts. We can keep talking about books.
I'm
books,
telling
books,
you, because I feel
yes.
there is an art to publishing. There is a way books should be written.
Yes.
You have the foreword, you have the dedication, you have all these things. You have the about.
Yes, we have to think about how the book will be packaged. And sometimes I actually wonder, is it the publisher that actually decides the cost of the book? Or the writer decides the cost of the book? Because most times, I've actually been in a situation whereby they mentioned that, okay, the book is so amount at one period. And then the next time I'm hearing about that book, they've added price to it. I'm like, okay, where did this price come from? And I had the opportunity to actually talk with a writer, an author. And then she told me that, when you have to add the cost of publishing, marketing, distributing, it adds up to that amount. And then I had to just purchase the book. But then we can't keep talking and discussing this alone, Yes, we have our guest in the studio now that will talk about the publishing business.
Yes.
And we have Mr. Olalemi. He is a publisher. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Tea or Coffee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about the publishing business,
Yes.
Okay.
and there is a lot of things, that go into publishing a book. But I want to hear from you as a publisher. What is the publishing business all about?
Well, basically, if you're going into the publishing world, it actually begins from generating ideas. Okay, ideas is the first thing. Then after ideas, you actually write your manuscript or whatever you want to push out to the public. Then after writing the idea, you move on to actually printing. Then after printing, then you move on to the money side of the whole thing, which is marketing. Okay, then after that, I think that's basically it, getting your content to the public. Okay, and that actually completes the process of publishing.
Okay, knowing that a publisher has the role of leading an organization where they produce magazines, books, printing of books.
Yeah.
Now, aside this, are there other roles that a publisher has?
Yeah, publishers play a key role in the society because, number one, publishing started, it extended as a result of this social factor of literacy. The spread of literacy actually brought about publishing in the sense that the quest for people to actually be aware of things happening around them, of certain things, even fiction and real stories. Okay, and then, of course, we need to learn a lot of things. Every one of us came in as a result of tabula rasa. Nobody knows anything. So as we begin to read one or two things, learn from our parents, we begin to know, okay, what's up in the society, what to do and what not to do. So publishing has actually brought a lot. So as a publisher, there is this social factor that you actually contribute. So without publisher, a lot of us will still be maybe in a state of empty without knowing so much about our society and beyond.
But I know you have a point there, because you find out that some movies actually come out from books.
From books, yes.
Because I've seen a movie, I was watching and then I was like, okay, this movie seems familiar. And then it was later I realized that, it was actually written in a book before, and then someone sat down and, decided to act it out. Yes.
Just before you came in, we're talking about the art of book publishing. And I feel that there is a way a book should be written. There's a standard way all publishers, would take a book and say, okay, this is standard enough for me to publish, to put out to the public. So what is the standard? How should a book be published?
Well, the first thing about the standard is you should be able to know your audience.
Okay.
You should be able to know who you are actually publishing for. Because without the audience, it's as good as you have not done anything.
Exactly.
So identifying your audience, who will read this particular content. So it's, the audience play a major role. Then what exactly do you want to pass? Okay, you need to be able to put that idea together and then put it in pen and paper, manuscripts, then push it out to the printer. There are many processes, in publishing. So all of this must be put in place. Standard is, first thing is getting to know who are the audience, okay? Then how do you go about the process, making it cheaper, even for that audience, Affordability is another thing. If you publish something and it's not affordable to people, it's as good that you've not done anything serious. So I think these are key points that one should consider in standard. Okay, you should be able to appeal to the audience.
Okay, you were talking about process.
Yes.
Can you give us a breakdown of the process?
Okay, basically, you write manuscripts as an author or a writer. Then you submit it to the publisher. You as the author, you can also be the publisher. Okay. Then you submit it to the publisher or printer in this case. Okay, so the printer goes through it. It is being processed. We have to type it, put it, do page setting and all of that.
And is that the work of a publisher?
Well, the publisher might have some knowledge. That has become the work of a printer now. Okay, the typing and page setting. Then after that, you go and do what we call filming. Okay, you film those texts. Okay, we're about taking it to paper though. So you film them.
By filming, what do you mean?
Okay, it's just like after typing, there is a machine, we call it, right now, the process is even simpler. There is a machine called computer to conventional plates, CTCP. So that actually processes those texts, from softs, it processes it to a plate that can be accessible, that can be used by the machine to actually print on paper. The plate is a metal, how will I call it now? Is a metal anyway.
Okay.
I don't have a copy. I would have showed you. So it's a metal. So when that is done, all those texts are on the metal plate. Okay. Then you put it in the machine. Then you get your paper. Paper is another key thing, in publishing. So you get your paper, then you print. So that's basically, so from manuscripts to converting those texts in softs, to plates, and then from plates to your actual print on paper. So that's exactly the process. Every other process, they will collate, I'm talking about the process of publishing a book now. They will collate the book, then bind. Okay, then after binding, then it's set for the market.
You didn't mention the face of the editor, because you're talking about editing.
Yeah, that's one, in fact, one of the most important things. Editor plays a major role. Interestingly, in most cases, it's not good that the author is also the one editing, because you can write and read 100 times. Because you are the one that wrote it, you will actually not spot your own error. So editor play a key role to be able to check everything, check grammatical error, syntax error, all of that. So it's very key. Editor's role cannot be overemphasized.
All right. Earlier on you talked about affordability. That's you being able to afford the books. And I think I would like to add to what you said, because for you to writing a book, for you to know if it can be affordable, you must know your audience, like you likely said. Knowing the kind of people you are publishing the book for will enable you to understand if they can afford it or not.
Yeah,
I can't imagine writing a book probably for children, and then I have to place a lot of price on it.
Exactly.
Because most of the parents would actually want to, most of the parents will actually want to purchase that book for their children, but when they look at the price, they get turned off or tuned off. So now, do you think the cost of books has anything to do with the progress of publishing business?
Absolutely, especially in this part of the world where we are a developing nation, and one of the most expensive process in publishing is actually paper. And in Nigeria right now, the paper we are using, 90% of the paper we are using are actually imported.
Wow.
So yes, so when dollar skyrockets, paper also, I recall in 2014, a paper we used to buy for 3,000, right now is selling for 8,000.
8,000.
And it was even higher when dollar was higher. So it just came back to 8,000. Bond paper, normal bond paper.
Papers.
It's just like the A4 that
A4.
offices use.
Yeah.
Everything is being imported from China and all of that. So paper is actually a big, and for a country that wants to develop, okay, in terms of literacy-wise, okay, the spread of, literacy, cost of books should actually be, it shouldn't be expensive. It should be affordable for people so that we can take people away from the state of ignorance, to getting to know a lot about their environment, about their development, how they can move the nation forward and all. So the cost of book, the major challenge affecting publishing is paper. It's the most expensive of the whole process. Every other process, if you want to publish an average book, you can spend maybe 40,000 naira on the filming, spend maybe another 40,000 naira on plates. You will actually spend like 80,000 naira on paper.
Okay.
So that's how. So paper is a big challenge.
Okay.
And if the government is actually serious, they should make paper mill in Nigeria work. We used to have one before.
I feel we are actually approaching, we're getting there.
We're getting
you
there.
know.
Yes.
We are seeing the positive Nigeria, so we're getting there
We hope so.
definitely.
Okay, so aside the fact that you said price is paper is a challenge in the publishing business. What else is the challenge that is being faced in the publishing
Piracy.
business? Piracy, okay. That seems
I
to
was,
be
I was
everywhere.
actually going to come to that.
And I'm sure that's everywhere, like you said. So piracy is like recently I went to a publishing house I went to a publishing house and I asked for the cost of a particular book. It's a popular book. Maybe I won't say it. It's a popular book being used by schools now.
Okay.
So I asked for the price. I was told it's 1,100 and something. Then, in the same vein, I drove down to a bookshop. Then I asked for the same book. And I got it for 600 naira.
Wow.
Okay, so what happened?
Piracy. The publisher is selling it at 1,000 plus. Okay, but the pirated copy is as low as
substandard price.
About 60% of the actual price. So how will the publisher actually make money off its sweat? And the pirates are actually using his idea, the publisher's idea, the same content, no
money.
changes, because they want to make it look like original.
Because I was going to mention that now that we are purchasing the book, how do we get, because a lot of times it is hard to tell the difference between the pirated ones and the original ones. So you just walk to a bookshop and then you're not even aware if it is pirated or not. Because you hardly find the difference or spot the difference. You need to look closely before you spot the difference.
And the sad part is they now tend to even sell more than the publisher.
Because it's cheaper,
Because it's cheaper. Because it's cheaper. I think government that is not serious.
Okay, our government is not serious.
No. As a matter of fact, if you go abroad, okay. An average white man knows that they don't want to break the rule. Why? Because they know if you break the rule, you can't go scot-free. There is no place for impunity.
Okay, but you know that.
But here you can break the rule, and then
you know that we can't pin everything on the
Definitely.
government. We also have our part to
roles to
play.
play.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we keep saying the government, but the people that are doing it wasn't the government that told them to do it in
And
the
moreover,
first
I was even going
instance.
to ask, I was going to add to what you just
Okay.
said. Now, we got colonized by these same white people, and they started from somewhere before they got to where they are.
Exactly.
So definitely, Nigeria is getting there also.
are
We can't
getting
keep
there.
It's like I'm
pushing
looking
the
anti-government
blame
and you
to
are looking
government.
pro
No,
government.
because we can't just keep pushing everything to. If we're going to leave the government to do
Yeah.
everything,
Everybody
then
has
we
a
can
role
have
to
a great
play,
society.
actually.
Yes.
Everybody has a role
Okay,
to
now, after talking about the government, let me come into the place where you talked about the fact that it's affecting profit making as a publisher. So how then do you make profits
Profit.
from book publishing?
Number one, you do a revised edition. Okay, so that those who want to pirate, they won't know the new changes you are bringing on board. That's another way, like even a week after students have resumed. I know some publishers who have not released their books.
Their books.
Okay, they want to hold on to the new idea, the revised edition, then release it so that, because those who want to pirate too, they are also looking out for the new book,
The new book.
so that they can get the original copy. Then
And do same.
So profitability is so those are what publisher does, in ensuring that they're able to get a lot, from their sweat. So.
Okay, all right. Our time is fast spent, and we would need to round up. But before we go, who actually owns the right to a book, the publisher or the writer?
Well, the writer has rights.
Okay.
The publisher also has rights based on agreement.
Okay.
Okay, it depends on what the agreement states. Okay, so I think it's basically about that.
Okay, so it has to be an agreement, between the
agreement.
publisher and the writer. Okay, that's
So,
good.
lastly, there are people who want to start a publishing business out there, and you have been in the business of publishing. So, what advice will you give to people that want to start up,
Publishing business.
publishing business? Yes.
Number one is, like I said earlier, you need to identify who you really want to publish for,
Okay.
which category of people, where are they located and all. Then when you get your ideas together, are you publishing for schools? Are you publishing a news magazine, like I did, sometimes ago, publishing a news magazine for a community? So you must decide on what exactly you want to publish. Okay. After deciding that, then you need to know the process of printing as well. Even though you necessarily are not the one to do everything, but you need to have basic knowledge of the process. Interestingly, I learned the process of printing, through an illegal process. Interestingly, piracy process.
Wow.
That we are actually talking about.
Live TV, you just casted yourself.
Well, but that was then, and I'm actually
You
not doing
repented.
anything illegal.
You probably didn't have the knowledge back
I wasn't even benefiting from it. I only learned.
Okay.
So it wasn't as if I was making money off it. I wasn't the pirate anyway. Okay, so
Okay, so there you have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Adeyemi Olalemi, for coming on the show today.
Yeah,
And I've learned quite a lot. I think I should publish a book. All what I've been having in my head, all the thoughts, I should put
I
it
know,
in paper.
right? That it doesn't cost
in writing.
too much.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much once again for coming to the show.
thank you.
Okay, so we're going to the second part of the show now, where we'll be bringing in another guest that will be talking about investing in mobility service providers. Yeah, so stay glued because we will be right back.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. You know, before we went on break, we talked about publishing as a business. I and Modukwe discussed that with our guests. But now we are moving into investing in mobility service providers. And we have in the studio Otumba Gbemi Oyenei. He is a business consultant. Good morning and welcome to Tea or Coffee.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, so straight to what we have today. Now, we're talking about mobility service providers. And in our own understanding, it has to do with transportation, cabs and all of that. And from your profile, it's been said that you actually worked with one of them in helping with the tracking system. Yes, okay, so now, first, we need to know the role of the mobility service providers. What do they do?
Oh, well, simply put, take you from one point to another.
Okay.
Basically, in comfort, at least, so that you can enjoy your ride. Okay. And as busy as Lagos is, I mean, traffic. So from a business point of view, it's easier these days to take any of the private cabs, and then for you to be able to move at least easily. You can call, you're having a meeting, and then before your meeting ends, you can actually, go on the app and then pick any of them, and then the guy is here in 5 minutes, and then you go.
Yes.
And then it's also easy because the rates are, you can actually justify the rate. It's not like somebody will just going to bill you and then you start haggling. It based on the time. So if there's no traffic, you know that you pay less. If there's traffic, you know that. So it's getting better.
Okay, but talking about billings, I've been a victim of, having to board one of them. And then I got to my destination. He actually showed me that, okay, this is the amount I am supposed to pay. And I got home to check the app and realized that it was a different amount I was supposed to pay. So I don't know how he did that, but he added more to my bills that I was supposed to pay.
That happens if he didn't log out on time.
Okay.
It happens. But if you complain, definitely they'll take it up.
Okay, because I was really confused. I thought it was some sort of scam or something.
No. It happens. Sometimes because of network, if the guy actually logs out and then due to network, blah, 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 it has not logged out from, the base station, you can have that. But once you complain, they will give you the difference. Because once he logs out from his own end, yes, it might take time before the reading, but there's always a refund. There's always a refund.
Okay, right. So I would like to know how effective the tracking, device is in this mobile service providers, because we have cases of, people complaining that they were almost kidnapped or robbed.
Security,
exactly. Because looking at social media yesterday, I think there was a lady that posted something about how she had to jump out of the car, when she noticed some,
Funny
funny
conversations.
things, yes, that she was about to be kidnapped. So how effective is the tracking device?
Well, that is where we come in,
Okay.
because the kind of tracking system we use actually gives you history report. There is also a playback report that you can actually do, and that is why we encourage anybody that is going into the transport business or whatever to have tracking system. Maybe not just because of your vehicle, but also because of incidences like these, that you can actually do a playback and then know what happened at what point in time. And then you can actually give the customer some, comfort that, okay, at least the vehicle, also is being tracked. So if anything should happen, at least there can be, it's easy for the police to be, because we work with the police a lot of time, give them direction, navigation and all that to, okay, this is where the vehicle is as at this point in time and all that, and this is what happened. And then for those who actually invest in the business, because we also run an AutoCare system, we are able to actually manage their fleet for them, because most people just jump into the business. Lagos, the business is quite lucrative,
Yes.
and they just jump into the business, get 2 cars or 3 and all that, and then get drivers. But as we all know, drivers can be very funny, because if you don't put the 24-hour surveillance on them, they're going to play the game. It's either they run the vehicle, 18 hours of a day just to make the money. They don't care. And then in 6 months, your engine is gone. So you need, a separate body to manage, the vehicle for you. And that is where we do that for our own client, whereby we provide the monitoring system to monitor the driver, how many hours, where they've been every day. And we send the reports to the clients every day by 9 a.m. And then we don't allow the drivers to also repair the vehicles.
Okay.
If anything is wrong, boom, bring it to the workshop, and then it's fixed, and then you continue your journey. So that is the kind of a thing that gives the investor at least peace of mind, that at least whatever is their monthly return, they get it.
Okay, because when before you moved into the investment, I was actually going to talk about it, because most times when I order cabs, and then I just see fine cars, very expensive cars. I'm like, okay, are you trying to tell me that this mobility service providers actually have so much money to afford these cars and then put it out there for people to use?
Let me tell you. There's a lady that works in the bank.
Okay.
She gets to the office like 5:30 in the morning
Okay.
every day. She doesn't close until about 8.
Okay.
And then she says, what can I do? The vehicle is just there. Okay. Why not put the vehicle on use from that 6, 7,
to 8,
and then to 6 in the evening, and then the guy comes back and picks you home, and that is what is happening.
Another
People are getting
source of
smarter.
business.
So it's not just maybe it may just be okay, now somebody has 3 cars, he's only using 1.
Okay.
The 2, they are just there. He doesn't have a child, he doesn't have so people are wisening up that, okay, let me just put this one on Uber, let the thing just be working, or just get somebody and then let it be earning money. Or somebody inherited some cars, or or you bought a new car and then the other one, okay, you don't want to sell it. So they are just different,
Okay. Actually, you have been able to, mention that you people take care of security and safety issues between the clients and the drivers. Now, how about trust? Because it's hard for people to just drop down their cars, and there must be this level of trust. How do you build trust between drivers and the clients and people who invest in the
like
business?
I said, we are the middleman. We get certified drivers, and then we get your asset. And then all we do is that we secure your return every month. And then we ensure that the drivers we get, of course. And then the fact that we also have a pool of drivers. So if a driver messes up today, he's gone, and then another person takes over. So that your return is, it doesn't stop because one driver goes and then you are looking for another. That is the beauty.
Okay.
And because you are dealing with an institution, with a corporate body, of course, you can go to rest, you can go to sleep. And apart from that, because you also get a daily, trip report, how your vehicle is being used. You get it in your mail 9 a.m. every day. So you know where and how the vehicle is being used. And on a monthly basis, they actually drive the vehicle to you for you to physically see, okay, all right, okay, no dent, okay. So that you know how it's going.
How it is.
It goes.
Okay, now, I'm really interested in investing in, mobility service providers. Exactly. So how would I go about it if I want to
Very simple.
invest?
Definitely will advise you the kind of vehicles that are good for the business.
Okay.
Basically we're talking about the Toyotas and all that, okay, in terms of fuel efficiency and servicing, they are quite, okay. So we advise you, if you want us to purchase the vehicle for you, fine. Or if you want to get the vehicle yourself, and then we certify it, and then once it's okay, then it goes. We sign the agreement. There's a service agreement, and then it kicks off. Then every month you get your returns.
Okay. All right, now let's talk about the tracking system. In a situation whereby the driver actually turns it off, because there are times whereby these drivers, they can also be smart. They know what they are doing, so they have to find their way around it such that they are not being caught. So in a situation where they turn off the tracking device, do you have other systems in place to still monitor the movement of the
I
drivers?
haven't been in the business for 11 years. We've seen all sorts. They will yank it off, and then, or some are so, good at it that particularly for those haulage that travel long distances and all that. Once they are out of Lagos, disconnect the thing and then go on their journey, do all the racketeering and all that. Then when the guy is re-entering into Lagos, you go and reconnect it again. We know all that. Now, on the system, there's what we call tamper alarm. Once the device is disconnected, it begins to, ring from the back office. And also with the devices these days, it comes with an app. So even the owner, will also know what is happening.
Yes. Okay.
Because the alarm is just going to boom, boom. And then the alarm also gives you the location and the time where the device is tampered with.
Okay, our time is actually fast spent. But,
so
one quick question. For people who are willing to invest in mobility service providers, now, what does it take? Do you have to have some level of qualification to actually invest in mobility service
that is where
providers?
we come in. You don't need to. All you need is you want to invest into that business and you have a little capital to be able to do that.
Okay.
And then there we go. You
All
can
right.
contact
So
us.
it doesn't require more than having a car?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Nothing.
just having your car.
A good car.
car.
Because it's not all cars that we take, no.
Okay, I'm actually curious. Fueling is on who? Fueling of the car is
Of
on
the
who?
car.
Oh, it's on the driver.
On the driver.
Oh, it's on the driver.
Okay.
That is in the agreement. That's what we call minor, repairs and all that. And then, servicing, monthly servicing is on the driver. The major repairs, okay, you want to change the engine, you want to do that, you want to do full, but that is on the investor. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I must say he has done justice to the topic.
Exactly.
I mean, everything you need to know about mobility service providers, your security, safety, trust, having to invest. Yes, now I know that instead of parking your car from morning till night,
Exactly.
you can actually use it as a
Invest
side
Make you
Yes.
money,
and
yeah.
invest.
Good money.
Good money.
Yeah, because just one trip.
Good money, not
Good
just
money.
money.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
money.
Yeah, one trip can give you 10K. I mean, excuse me.
Wow.
Every day. So, I mean. that's
Yes,
something.
all right. Thank you so much,
you so
Otumba,
much. Thank you for
for
having
coming
me.
on the show.
Thank you.
It was
It's a
actually a pleasure. We hope
Yes.
that when we call you again, you would respond, because this is like the second time he's going to be on the show.
Yes, gladly. And we are happy to have you again.
Yes, definitely.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
we have to wrap up. It's still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. Be sure to join us again for another educating episode tomorrow. My name is Wuraola Pokwala.
And my name is Modikwe Jacobs. Enjoy the rest of your
Of your
day.
day. Bye.